This video is to talk about the changes for the contacts page. And we're here on the main contacts page. And originally I had you remove the icon that was here. So you can see there's a little spot there for it. So if you can put the icon that was there, it should just match the same one here. Put it here. That'd be good. Okay, so um, the numbers here, because there's so many different countries that they work with, I'm just going to leave that alone. I'm not going to ask you to format it. Everything's fine there. I'm looking around to see if there's anything that I can see that needs to be done here. We do need to find some way of paging. Now, in the last video for the file control, we were talking about different types of records. We were talking about shippers and consignees and couriers and all kinds of different types of files. It might be a good idea to put tabs up here at the top, and then that could lessen the amount of records that we show. So we might show 1,000 or 2,000 records of shippers. So if you remember on the file control, we'll have it here. Oops. It won't load anyway, so should have just done that from the beginning. On the file control, you've got tabs at the top here. So on the context, if you can add tabs and the types, for now, you'll see in the database, there's consignee, I guess they're ocean, carrier, shipper, consignee, shipper, what other types there are. Let's take a look. See if I can do a new query. Maybe. Distinct. Okay, so there's different types. So I guess apostrophe, we're going to ignore that. The null will ignore that. The blanks will ignore that. I don't know if you have enough. Probably SG hipper is not a shipper, so we're going to ignore that. I don't know what LA PEDS 1 is, so we're going to ignore that. We may have to clean up some data, but for now, let's choose trucking, shipper, courier, agent, and I don't see a client, and I guess that everything else that's not there's consignee, and we'll have to see. Okay, so then we'll have to create web methods for those. But if you could just put the tabs at the top for now, like you have here, and we'll have to put a tab for client as well. And I'll have to create the web methods so that we get you the data that you need. And I think that would probably be a way to reduce the number of records that come back. So, and that might be very helpful for them. Okay, so I don't see any other problems. I gotta get rid of that thing, okay. Any other problems on this page? So we're gonna go ahead and click on the edit. And here, we've talked about some of this already. Maybe. Okay, scratch that idea. We talked about some of the things in file control that I thought was going to be on this page, but well, let's go through it. I have to go through my notes, so I apologize for taking up the extra time. Contact. Okay. So you see here, company name is here. What the customer would like is that to be the very first field. So instead of company code, we're going to put company name on the first line. Company code would be on the same first line, and then these other ones would be on the second line. So the type and ID type would be on the second line. The ID type, if you think about it, let me back up for a second. Company name, first line, and then this one could be on the same first line. I don't know if you have any extra room to have the type, because that would kind of like be a flow. Company name, company code, company type, courier. And then if you can put it all in the same row, that'd be great, because it's the type of company information you're putting in there. When it comes to the company code, what he had asked me, and this is probably be something on the back end, but if you look at the data, you can see that it looks like it takes the first 5 or so characters or 6 characters, and then it appends a 1. But if there's multiples, which they do that because you could have multiple customers in different states, different addresses, and the current vendor, the way they have the data set up, was not a very good model. And unfortunately, we're following that. But, you know, we have to do it, I guess. And so they have a West Core 2. Well, it's the second address for that customer. And again, they may not be a good model, but we just have to get to the next level. We've got plenty of work to do rather than restructure a whole bunch of data right now. So again, that might be something in the back end, but at least I'm trying to show you that we would have multiple addresses. And that was one of their concerns and their reasons in the file control to be able to see those addresses, because there will be multiple addresses. Anyway, okay. So this ID type here, you can see it says, no, so I find something that makes more sense. EIN number, okay? Well, if you choose EIN number and then you type in an EIN number, it's kind of like a VAT number, you know. So that would be the taxpayer identification number that goes along with this dropdown. This is going to go up on the first line. Okay, so address, I don't think I had any notes for that. The address is going to be on 3 separate lines from what I understand here so far. So we're going to put address 1 here, go all the way over across. Next line, address 2, next line under there, address 3, all the way across. So there are going to be 3 lines. Okay. So, you know, we were talking different types, you know, in the screen there. Was it a consignee, ocean carrier, shipper? Those sort of types. That's where we're going to save that. Okay, let's see. Let me have a get to this thing here. Okay. From what I understand so far, let me go down to this agent code. And before the demo, I was saying that these are just going to be entry boxes, and that's not the case. These are going to be, these are going to look at the database, the contact database. So an agent is a type, I think. here, agent. Okay, so probably didn't mean to change it for that one, but I don't know how we're going to know it's a client. May have to add a new type in there for client. And when you're inside the agent code, we need to do a change to the API so that you will only be picking up agent code. So there could be multiples. And he had asked for a pop-up of sorts because he wanted to be able to show which one you chose. So that might be just a text beneath the area. I don't really know. I think you have to come up with something because when you choose the agent, let's say it's pair, like, well, nothing pops up because it's not like that anymore, but we'll have to make it so that it is searching, but only for agents, that you put the city, state, country, and phone number somewhere so they can actually see the information right there. They don't have to go find the guy. They say, okay, well, it's agent. Now, if I come to the screen, I can see his phone number. I can see whatever. So we just have to make some space for it. Even if we put agent code 1, 2, and 3 on separate lines, we could do the same thing that we did for address, possibly. When you search for the guy, you see his address, his phone number, country, all that stuff, and it just appears all on one line. So that might be a way to do it. That way it's the same for the user when they're done. Um, I know there's something I'm looking at my notes and I'm trying to first understand what I wrote and then I could, okay, all right. So there's going to be a need, well, there is a need that they want to be able to send emails out to an agent. So that's what the agent is for. The agent is kind of like the handler of a client. So if you think about a movie star or a baseball player or a soccer player, I don't know how they do it in soccer, but a lot of times these professionals have agents and, kind of like a handler. They will, get them jobs and do whatever. Same kind of concept here is that this agent is the handler for this customer. So I'll throw out just an example like we talked about the Volkswagen car. Well, Volkswagen car is not really ordering things, right? It's the agent that belongs to that company. And this agent code would be a separate record in the database. So I think that makes sense. But he wants to be able to associate email addresses to that agent code. And we had something like that. It's not showing here, but let's see if I have a table for it. I don't have a table for it. I did have a design that I would have to bring up. I don't know if I've got a folder. My projects. Here's the contact page. how to use the contacts. Okay, let's see if this opens. Okay, so we have the grid. That's good. Skip this page. Look at that. There's 3 separate address lines. Okay, and I don't hold that against you guys. That's not really. I mean, I gave that to the original guy, and he didn't follow any of my desires either. But I did put that on separate lines, so that was probably my fault. But one big long company name, company code is going to be next to that. First line, we talked about that. And here's what I was looking at. This is going to be a pop-up underneath the save button, kind of like what we did for file control. It's going to have a plus way to add to it and add an email address. So, like I said, the agent code is a separate record in the contact list. So if we said that it was 10S shop, well, we would go to that record, add email addresses. There's a checkbox to say this is the main contact, and then everybody else who's not checked on would be a subordinate contact, which there is no real rhyme or reason for that. It's just that he told me that one person would be the main contact, I guess, if he needed to do a lookup sometime in the future. But we could add as many email addresses as we like. So we're going to need to put a table to have to be able to collect the email addresses. And what we're going to do whenever we have to email that agent code, we're going to go to that table, pick out the email addresses, and everybody that's associated with that agent would get an email. Again, that could be done in the back end, but I'm just trying to give you the idea. And looking at my notes, okay, there needs to be a way to add new user accounts for these agent codes. It says here, create sub-logins for clients. Okay. Customer can see all the work done for him. Consignee can log in also. Okay. So where we put that, that's probably going to be somewhere in this space here, and it's going to be set up, you know, most likely a separate pop-up, and we're going to be able to create logins. And we already have web methods to create a login. If you go to Exabyte Web Service Swagger, and I'm sure you've used this before because you guys worked on the user edit screen. We could see. I don't know. Here's a post user login or add user login. You could use one of these. I know one that I've used before that might be more, although it works, it might be more deprecated, is this user register. I don't know. I'll need you to try that out. You might want to just do a user add and then find out what fields are required. Not every field is required, and then just put that in there. So however you do it. I'm going to go back. So we need to be able to add user accounts, and then they'll show up whenever you come up with that one. So just like here, when you go to agent code, you see 10S, that would be the company name, right? And then you would say, okay, well, the login codes, they'll be actual logins that we're going to handle later, but they need to go to this table. And to make sure that it works, we'll have to log in, of course. Right now, I think we probably have to fix the web method a little bit. This is a contact, right? So I don't want to be here. You'll need to, fill in this table here. And we'll need to actually have a user rights set to that user role. And right now we've got a user role. So if it's a consignee, we'll have to give it the user role consignee, even though that role doesn't exist yet. Let me go here, and we can create different roles. Like we might make a consignee role, and of course it wants value. Doesn't like that value. Why not? What value does it want? Doesn't like that. I mean, it design. And consignees here. We need to talk about this new login page. Well, at least I need to talk to the customer about that. Because what he wants to be able to happen is that that user can come in to a different domain name and view records that belong to him or his consignee. And I don't have any specifications on that yet. So we'll go ahead and leave it null for now. But we may have a client role. And I don't know what other roles we would have. Probably an agent role. I will need to get more information. So we'll need to be able to add users from the contact page. Like I talked about here, having another pop-up. Maybe you can adopt something from the user manager page, like this stuff here, and just make that a component and have it as your pop-up beneath there. So I'm going to go back to here. So we do need to have this email addresses so that it associates with whatever that company is. And then when we do have agent code here and I email agent code, I will go back to his contact record and find his email addresses and email him. Likewise, when I want to create a login, set a role, and use that same idea of user management. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Password. Okay. I think we said, all right, when we are on this page, you can see here I made the company name required, the company code required, and everything else is not required, it appears. So we need to make sure that you validate for those. Um, let's see if I can go to the screen here. This airline prefix, every client is going to be having, I think it's a 3-character code, and I don't know, he gave me a list. Gotta find that list. Okay, I found my list. He wants me to find data somewhere in the world. He wants me to find every city list. I'm sure there's got to be something online, but when it comes to the cities here, not just the cities in the US, apparently there might be a city for every city in the world, and I don't know, maybe every city in the free world, I don't know. I mean, like, we don't go mailing things to somewhere in Guam or some, I don't know. Anyway, I'll have to go look into that. But so this cities list would be something, would be an autocomplete, which I'm sure it's not right now. Is it? No, let's see if I can find Memphis. Yeah, so that's not autocomplete, but he would like it to be. The country. This is going to be too long. I think you were saying, even you were saying, hey, that's just too long. So he wants that to be a autocomplete. I don't know if we should have this is autocomplete and then pick that. I don't know. But this one is dependent on this one. So we got to find every country. Airports, airline prefix, that's an airport. You know, so like we have Miami and Fort Lauderdale. I don't know what your codes are. I know that Bogota was this one. Okay, so those are that. Well, he also mentioned that we have ports. Now, this is, I don't see anything on here for ports, but somewhere he just wrote it down, ports. And he said that we have airlines. I don't have anything on here for airlines, but he wants that list. Steamship lines, trucking lines. Okay, guess we'll just ignore that for now. But anything that we can have a type of head on, we're going to want to have a type of head. City, country. We know there's only a limited number of US states. If there is no state, we need to have a blank, and then this list should be in alphabetical order. A, B, C, D, you know. Okay? And the alphabetical order, you have this one in alphabetical order, which is good. Okay? So this one needs to be in alphabetical order. And I don't know there's going to be way too many states, but whatever. Let's just see. And this would be from your users list. Now, right now, we were talking about adding more things to the users list. Now, we would need to make a change so that this account manager picks up only people with inside the customer, our customers, you know, let's say it's an office worker or whatever, warehouse worker. Those people would be the only people that come up in the list, not the consignee, not the client, not the agent, nothing like that. So that's interesting. Salesperson, I don't actually have any change on that yet. And notes is fine. And I think this is disabled, which is good. but we need to fill them in. So if I save this, there's nothing to save. Maybe there's nothing to save. When I click on the save button, it needs to fill in to the database. There should be a value that I could set. The last update date and the person who's logged in should be able to update that. Okay. And that's what I know right now. So I'm going to end this video, but before I do, I wanted to mention something. If I go back to the list, and this list is in some kind of order. It's not really in any kind of order. I guess we could sort it, but maybe we could sort it coming when you first, you know, because right now it's just there. It just comes in, and you got to click on it to get to the ABC. So I think he wants to have that is in alpha order. And I know this is not related, but I'm going to go to the file control. And what he wants for the file control is the very last record that was added, or the very newest record that was added, will always be on top. So right now it's in the wrong order. So like 10339, then 10338, 10337, 10336. That's the order that's going to show in. And if you have to put something in the database to change that, we'll have to do that. Okay, so that's what I know. And if I have more changes for the contact record, then we'll go ahead and make another video. Okay, thank you.